The new NBA and MLB season is in full swing, and BetOnline has you covered with the best odds and biggest promotions and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
We all love our Christmas traditions. Hanging our childhood stockings by the chimney with care, cuddling up for our annual viewing of Home Alone, and regretting we ever heard those four miserable words, elf on a shelf. But there is one beloved tradition that started during the most unlikely of times. It was during one of the darkest years of the Great Depression when a group of men came together on Christmas Eve and created a display that became a symbol of gratitude and hope for the entire city of New York. Today, it has grown into an annual event that is visited by an estimated 500,000 people every day. It's a destination that embodies the perennial spirit and magic of Christmas. And that's why this week's On Brand is on the Rockerfeller Center Christmas Tree.
We're all jazzed up, nearly having a cow. You want your favorite show, and it's on right now. It's on Brand.
Welcome to On Brand with Jon and Marisa. Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, you are a ho, ho, ho.
You put the ho in ho, ho, ho.
I'm Jon.
I'm Marisa.
Hey, girl.
Hey,
Happy
girl.
holidays.
How's it going?
So you've learned the brand, the tree.
This is really, really exciting.
This is exciting.
I have seen Rockefeller Center in person one time in the winter.
With the tree?
Yeah, with the tree. I did not go ice skating, though.
Why did you seem like you weren't sure if the tree was
I
there?
don't really remember if the tree was there, but it was winter, so I'm sure it was.
Babe, I'm sure you would remember if the tree was there. The tree doesn't come until late November, so it may not have been there.
I mean, that city is whipping, it's buzzing. Boy, find a place to land your eyes in that town.
Tell me about it. I knew nothing. I didn't know. I mean, sure, I knew stuff about the tree. I knew it was a tree.
Uh-huh.
I knew that it was a real tree, but I learned things in this. I'm very excited about this episode.
I'm sure all the New Yorkers are going, hey, about time we get some love on Brand.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
It's our tree. I don't know how to talk New York.
The Christmas spirit is flowing through my veins. Is it flowing through your veins? I am having a problem where every time I see Santa, I want to burst into tears.
Oh, no.
With like warm, fuzzy feelings.
Wait, how old are you? Are you going through perimenopause?
You know what? Now that you mention it, even though I am only 22.
39?
What? No, not 39.
20, yeah.
I'm feeling very tenderhearted about the holiday season. It's filling my heart with Christmas magic. How's your holiday season going, Jon?
I guess good. I haven't really, I know it's around me. I go through a lot of different emotions at Christmas because I travel home and I love going home and seeing my family, but that's a very emotional thing for me. So I kind of go through all these they're not even rituals, but these things leading up to going home. Like I try to spend, it sounds weird, but more time alone. Like I try to because it's like when you're out for 2 weeks, I usually go home for 2 weeks. Like you're around people the whole time and you're kind of we're performers. So you're always trying to make everyone laugh.
Yes.
But it's like, you're just a sad clown. You just want to be at home alone, taking your makeup off and watching television. So I try
Do you have a vanity with the old timey light bulbs and a pot of Pond's cold cream that you smear on your face every night?
A big powder puff.
Big powder puff.
Send in the clowns. Yeah, I do. I go through the whole ritual. No,
Gorgeous.
I mean, I love the Christmas spirit. I have been to the Americana once. We have a couple malls here that do real Christmas trees similar. Obviously not in scale, but they are very big trees at the Grove and the Americana. I don't know where they pull those from. I do know where the Rockefeller Center trees come from.
I actually know something about that big tree at the Americana, this is hyper-local Los Angeles, brand fact, but it's like a tree that's at the end of its life. I guess is all I know about it. They have a little plaque that says where it came from. I think it comes from, God, does it come all the way from Oregon? And because you think oh, how sad, this old tree. It's was chopped down, but they say no, this tree was old. It was about to die.
Yeah.
We shipped it in and we planted 20 trees in its place.
Yeah. They say that about the Rockefeller. I did not know that either, that it was an end of the life thing, which made me feel a lot better. A lot of things that I have learned about the Rockefeller tree has warmed my heart and I'm all for it now.
That's how I want to go out when I'm about to die. I want to be dressed up in baubles and lights and paraded in front of the town.
You are an old tree.
Excuse me?
Like those trees in, didn't you love those trees in Lord of the Rings? I think they were just called trees, right, Al? They were called trees.
They were called Ents, John.
Ah,
No,
yes, of course. They were
boy.
called Ents.
He's
I was very
single.
particular about the characters of Lord of the Rings. Okay, so we'll get to all the things we need to know about trees. So I know that you like music, but you're not a big music person.
Honestly, I could live without it.
I know, which is so weird to me.
We were driving the other day and David goes, there was like a song on the radio to me that sounded like a barbershop quartet. And I said, I think this is my favorite kind of music. And David goes, barbershop quartet is your favorite genre of music? And I said, yeah, I think it is.
That's amazing. I wish that would show up. That, the reason I bring it up is because this time of year is very exciting for a lot of people that belong to either Spotify or Apple Music, or I'm sure the other music streamers do this too. But you get, I'm on Spotify and you get your like wrap up. I think it's called the yearly wrap up.
Yes, I got one of those. It was all Moana.
Okay. Well, you're right. You have kids. You're like Baby Shark. You listen to it for 6 days. And I realized that they were out because people were so nice and started. I didn't even know that they rated podcasts, but we had a handful of people that we were showing up on their list of top 5 podcasts, and they were sending to us, which was so cool.
That was so fun.
Very sweet. So I was like, oh, I got to go look at my summary. Okay. So if you'll indulge me, I would like to talk about my summary just for a minute.
Please.
So I say I'm not a music snob. I think a little bit of a music snob.
Yeah. Well, who would disagree with that?
I don't think anyone would call me a music snob, but
Uh-huh.
but I also like, we know I like Taylor, I like pop, but I also like The Cure, I like the Cocteau Twins, I like Bjork. I like a lot of different music. So I kind of know what my year has been every year and kind of know what this is going to be when I get my wrap up.
Of course.
So I open up my top 5, okay? And I just want to go through it real quick because it was 90% what I expected.
Okay.
3 of my top 5s were Billie Eilish. Of course, I think Billie Eilish and Beyonce had the best albums of the year. My 4th one was Beyonce. Of course, I listened to those albums on repeat. None of those were my number 1 song.
Okay.
My number 1 song, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's The Cure, maybe it's Taylor, but I didn't love her last album as much. I don't think it's Taylor.
You got into Chapel Roan this year.
Chapel
Olivia
Roan's in the-
Rodrigo.
She's in the top 10. Yeah, Olivia Rodrigo's in the top 10. They're all in there. My number 1 song, and I'm not even going to be the one to tell you, because there's a new feature in Spotify that you get when you get your wrap up. They give you what they're calling an AI podcast of your wrap up.
No.
So I got a 4-minute podcast of 2 robots.
I can't support this.
I know, neither can I. As a podcaster, I can't either. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to allow them to tell you what my number 1 song was.
Great.
All right, music fans, get ready because we're about to unwrap some seriously cool musical moments.
We're your hosts, beaming in straight from Google's Notebook LM.
Okay, so they probably do that. That sounds like that was probably recorded on everybody.
Maybe for everybody, yeah.
Okay, so the first thing they're going to tell you is what your number 1 song is. This is the song that I listened to the most this year.
Speaking of epic music, let's talk about your top track. Drum roll, please. It's Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus.
57 plays. You started listening on February 3rd, and it looks like it quickly became a favorite.
I don't remember listening to Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA one time. Not once. And I am all for embarrassing myself. Yes, I went down a rabbit hole. I spent a Sunday listening to Party in the USA.
I mean, it's
And
certainly not the year to be really into Party in the USA. If it was number 1 for you, I feel like it would have been 9 years ago. Wow, that is weird.
I think I was hacked. And then one of the other weird things is I listened to music this year for 15,093 minutes. That's 10 and a half days. That's probably right. It's a lot of music. But it said on my most listened day, I listened for 1,100 minutes. I looked that up. It was 23 and a half hours that I was listening to music. That's why I think, I don't know, maybe
Party in the USA on repeat for 23 hours.
that's the only thing I can think of is maybe somehow like it was just in my pocket and it
don't
was just
know.
playing and I don't know, but something is suspicious and I need the people from Spotify.
You are being awarded Miley Cyrus's number 1 fan.
Miley reaches out to us on Instagram.
Wow, John, thank you
John.
so much for the support.
Thank you so much.
How did Party in the USA sneak in?
I'm
there?
not kidding when I say I don't remember listening to it one time.
I don't know.
So for it to be 57 times just feels a little insane. Anyway, so shall we get into the tree. You have set up your tree. It's lovely. I'm house sitting. They set up their beautiful tree.
Yes, we did get a real Christmas tree this year. We had some water damage on our fake Christmas tree. So the past couple years we've done the real tree. And boy, you can't beat it. You walk in the door, you get that piney smell. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm really, this is the downside. I'm really worried about sap cap.
What's
Do you know
that?
what sap cap is?
I mean, I guess it sounds like sap dripping onto your
No, if
children.
you don't water your tree frequently enough, like keep the bowl wet, then it develops sap cap. And then it has a hard time drinking the water.
Babe, it is December 9th. You
I'm
only need this thing to live for 2 weeks.
Really worried. Like I'll like wake up in the night and come over and stick a finger in that bowl.
You're having like nightmares, and whoever's talking to you as they open their mouth, it's like got sap lines. You're
It's
just
got
sap
lines.
obsessed.
Yeah.
Well, I will say a prayer for you.
Thank you. Anybody listening, please say a prayer for my sap cap.
Everyone that has pulled over to listen to the pod, we know most people listen to the pod pulled over on the side of the freeway.
For safety, because the pod is so exciting, we don't want you to careen into oncoming traffic.
Of course. This would be a great moment to say a quick prayer for sap cap.
Do you ever set up a tree in your home?
I don't have physical space for
But like a little like tabletop or anything?
Occasionally, there's years where I'll do like a 2-footer from Trader Joe's. Not often. I also, like I said, I go home for 2 weeks, so I'm usually out of here by like almost mid-December, the 15th, 16th, 17th.
I see.
So it doesn't make sense. That's why advent calendars aren't great for me. It's like I need to start my advent calendar before Thanksgiving if I want the full experience.
Well, what do you mean? You have like day 1 through 15 and then like just eat the rest on the day you leave for the airport. And if they're jams, that's going to be a busy day.
Yeah, eat 15 mini jars of jams on
Yes.
December 15th. All right,
Yes.
I'll try that next year. I'll make videos. They'll go viral. I'll leave the pod, and then you'll regret it. All right, so let's start this episode out. I mean, we can't just jump into Rockerfeller, right? We got to start with the history of Christmas trees.
You wouldn't be you if we didn't.
Why evergreens?
Okay.
Why evergreens?
Okay. Well, yeah, why?
Well, the ancient Celts, the Norse, I don't know what the Norse are.
It's like the men with the long blonde hair.
Oh, okay. I like
Is that right, Al? The men with the long blonde hair. Al nodded. He's
All
our
right.
resident
like
historian.
The Swedish?
Yeah.
The Swedish
Mm-hmm.
and the Germanic.
Speaking of it, have you had IKEA meatballs in a while? I haven't heard about them.
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
okay,
Babe,
it's about time.
I haven't. I need them.
We need 'em.
Those would be good with that jam for Christmas. That would be nice. We should do that before I go. So all these different people, they incorporated evergreen plants into their winter celebrations, and they did it for different reasons. Some of them believe that the evergreen plants, like holly and ivy, represented life's continuity in the darkness because they were able to stay green throughout the winter months.
Wow.
The German tribes believed that evergreen branches and trees protected them against malevolent spirits during the harsh winter months. So basically, evergreens, it's a symbol of protection, resilience, and the cylindrical nature of life.
That's beautiful.
And then it became, during these winter celebrations, it became popular to adorn these plants with candles, with fruits, and symbolic ornaments. And that just added festival elements
I
to
love that.
the
Stick
rituals.
some scrapes on your tree.
People were putting some weird, throughout history, some weird things went on these trees.
Have you ever strung popcorn? That's fun.
Of course.
That's really
Of
cute.
course, I do enjoy that. I like stringing it. Yeah, I like stringing things for the tree. I think we've done Cheerios, probably cranberries.
These are really good ideas.
Yeah. So basically, all those things kind of was gently laying the groundwork for our modern Christmas tree. Now, if you'll indulge me, I would like to jump back to 1510.
How many pages is this episode?
It's 12, but no, it's actually only 7 and like 3 lines.
Great. Okay.
But I am going to go through about 400 years in about a minute. So it's 1510, and the first written record of a decorated Christmas tree comes from Riga, Latvia, which is in northeastern Europe on the east coast of the Baltic Sea. And there, the record said that men from the local merchants guild decorated a tree with artificial roses. They danced around it in the marketplace place, and then they set it on fire.
Wow.
The rose was used as a decoration for many years, and it's considered to be a symbol for the Virgin Mary.
That's like the earliest flash mob.
Oh my God, I would have cried. All the men from the local thing would be dancing and singing, and I'd be in the corner weeping at the human spirit of it all. And for the Virgin Mary, why are we burning her?
Yeah,
I don't know.
good question.
All right, so 1530, France, which was a German territory at the time, and I only say that because Germany plays the biggest part in the beginnings of the Christmas tree. So in France, trees were sold in the marketplace and brought home and set up undecorated. And there was a law, and this is one of my favorite things. There's so many things in this episode. It's I think this is my favorite part of this episode. There's 4 of them, and this is one of them. The laws limited the size to the trees to be 8 shoe lengths. Could be no bigger than 8 shoe lengths, which was slightly over 4 feet.
Wow. I too measure things in shoe lengths.
Me too. Knew a guy in college that was about a shoe and a half.
Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, and professional golf, BetOnline remains the number one source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline's casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Are you looking for a new job or want a career change? Look no further than Monster.com. Need a little help standing out? Our expert resume writing services will make sure you shine. Want to brush up on your interview skills? Engage with our AI interview prep tool. Want some advice on negotiating your new salary? Visit our salary tools and extensive library of career advice articles, and you'll have all the tips and tricks you'll need to succeed. Visit Monster.com today and take the first step towards your career. Monster.com. Find your right job fit.
So then in the 1600s, it has become common in Germany to decorate Christmas trees with apples, gilded nuts. Now, a gilded nut, is that do they put gold leaf on it? What's a gilded nut?
What is a gilded nut?
What's a gilded nut?
A sugared nut?
I feel like that would be a sugared nut.
A candied nut?
I feel like that'd be a candied nut.
A gilded nut.
Gotta say, I thought you'd make a nut joke. They also decorated with red paper strips, symbolizing hope for the coming spring.
Ooh, I hope I get a big bowl of gilded nuts for Christmas.
There she is. Edible ornaments became so popular on Christmas trees that they were often called sugar trees.
Ooh.
That's cute.
That's cute.
Not yet. The 1700s.
Don't get too excited, Al.
Yes, we're in the 1900s, which is already so long ago. The 1700s, in parts of Austria and Germany, I love this one. Evergreen tips were brought in to the home and hung point down from the ceiling. I love that. For me, living in a small space, it frees up all my floor space just to have this cute little evergreen point hanging from the middle of the ceiling.
That would be really cool. I feel like I could see that in when Kim Kardashian and Kanye would decorate for Christmas. It was always very abstract and avant-garde. A bunch of trees upside down attached to the ceiling, point down.
They'd all be white and made from feathers.
Point down this Christmas.
It's a point down Christmas. There's your Dolly Parton song. Or Miley Cyrus, hopefully. Fingers crossed. That century was also the first accounts we have of using lighted candles as decorations on Christmas trees, which always, to me, I know that
fire hazard.
I mean, you get that sap cap, your tree dries out, you throw a couple of candles on there, kaboom.
Kaboom.
Especially in the 1700s, and no one's coming to help you.
Grandma is blown to smithereens.
2 days later, someone shows up with a bucket of water. I heard there's a fire.
The well is a mile away. Good luck.
The 1830s, Christmas trees are introduced into the United States by German settlers. 1848, oh my God, this is the third thing that I love. You're going to die. You're not going to die right away, but then you're going to die. Okay. So 1848, the notion of bringing in and decorating a tree was one that had gained significant momentum during the late 1840s. In 1848, Prince Albert and Queen Victoria commissioned an engraved portrait of 3 generations of the royal family standing around a beautiful decorated tree at Windsor Castle. This wood engraving was published published in the Illustrated London News, which had a huge circulation. It got published in other magazines, and that is really what launched indoor Christmas trees over in Europe, right? So 1848, Europe's all in on the Christmas tree.
Great.
A year later, there's an American. I literally have goosebumps. I'm going to cry. I'm going to pass out. I can't handle this. Sorry, that was too loud. I saw him turn my dial down because I'm too excited. A year later, there was an American who basically worshipped anything that Queen Victoria did.
Are you okay?
It's just insane, the timing of all this. So she loved everything that she did. So she was like, you know what? That was a really cool engraving that they did. She copied the engraving. She worked for a magazine here in America. She had another engraving created. She made a couple of minor tweaks to it. I'm going to put both of them in our supplemental material. They're almost identical. She got rid of the Queen's tiara and the Prince's mustache to make it more American. And she published it. The same thing happens here. Everyone is all in on Christmas trees. And do you know who that person was?
Who?
Sarah Josepha Hale, the same bitch that wrote Abraham Lincoln and told him that we have to have Thanksgiving, is the reason why we all have Christmas trees.
Oh, we owe this bitch our lives.
Marissa, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there.
Oh, my God.
So Queen Victoria also caused waves when she got married and wore a white dress.
No.
Sarah Josephina Hale was like, are you kidding me? Could there be anything better than wearing a white dress for your wedding?
Oh my
She
God.
runs an entire story on it in America, and that was the beginning of every single bride, including yourself, to wear a white dress.
Oh.
She's the Forrest Gump.
I hope you are pulled over, because if not, your entire family has perished.
Everyone's dead. All of our freaks are dead. No one's going to do the Instead because they've all died.
I cannot believe it. Oh, I'm going to need a second to recover from that.
You understand.
This is huge. A statue in every town for this woman.
I mean, why is she not on a dollar bill? Why
I think $1, $5, $10, $20 coins, pennies, all
the
of them.
money.
4 of her heads on Mount Rushmore. Get them all out. 4 of her heads. She's like...
one of them holding a turkey, one of them holding a tree, one of them in a white dress, and then just a beautiful portrait.
Yeah, just let her shine. I am gobsmacked.
I know.
I cannot believe she's not a household name. People should major in her in college. She should be like a critical part of every school curriculum.
If this works out the way that I think that it will... we have enough listeners and freaks now that will be talking about Sarah Josepha Hale at Christmas parties this year. Mark my words, December 26th, her name will be viral because it will be picked up on everyone talking about it.
Unbelievable. Spread this like wildfire.
I feel like my next episode is going to be like Burger King, and it's going to be like, well, Sarah Josepha Hale, she made the hamburger. I don't know where she's going to pop up next, but I am looking out for her now.
She's a little mischief maker.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to play her in the movie? Really, like, we need a movie with her. Who's it going to be?
It's
Rachel McAdams?
I was going to say Sally Field.
I mean, like, not present day Sally Field.
Wait, she was a painting.
Yeah, she's like...
yeah, I mean, she's an older woman.
Yeah.
I mean, there'll be a young... I mean, we'll probably need 2 actresses.
We'll bop around through time.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll figure it out.
Okay,
we'll
we have Rachel McAdams, Sally Field, and then someone in the middle.
You know what? I mean, if we're being honest, she can probably somehow figure out how to play herself.
Oh, fantastic. God, I love this woman.
Me too. 1853, Franklin Pierce is credited with bringing the first Christmas tree to the White House. Late 1800s, the first glass ornaments were introduced in the United States. Again, they came from Germany. First, they were balls, then chains of balls. Toys, figures became more common.
Balls, eh?
There
now
you
I'm
go.
listening.
I tried to deliver that in a way that you would pick up on it, but do a ball joke.
You think I just like... I love, like, testicles.
Everyone that listens to the show thinks that you're like a testy hound. That's what they call you.
That's going to be on our merch. Testy Hound.
Testy Hound.
That's on a hat.
Marisa plus balls equals, and then like the smiley emoji. That's our shirt. Around 1883, Sears starts selling the first artificial Christmas trees.
Of course, Sears getting in there. Sears, your thick-ass catalog.
That big-ass catalog. Someone's circling, I want a tree. 33 limbs was 50 cents. 55 limbs was $1.
It was by the limb?
By the limb. That's about $31 today. The 1900s, over-harvesting, the natural supply of evergreens began to dwindle.
Boo, bummer.
Boo, quit raining on my parade. Conservationists get in the scene and they become alarmed. Magazines start to encourage people, I've never heard of this, encourage people to get a substitute artificial snow-covered tree, which at the time was a branch from a deciduous tree, like a maple tree, just wrapped in cotton. So you just basically go get a stick and wrap it in cotton, and that was your Christmas tree to save the forest. Of course, we want to save the forest.
Of course, yeah. It seems a little sad. And it would be a bummer to be part of the generation where they're like, we cut down all the trees. We can have more in 12 years. Yeah. And you're like, well, I'm 9 years old now, so my family just doesn't get a Christmas tree.
Funny you say that. I'll just go to this fun fact. It does take as little as 4 to 15 years to grow the average Christmas tree, which is 6 to 7 feet. But the average time is 7 years.
Okay, so keep that in mind.
1901, the first Christmas tree farm is started. The guy who started it planted 25,000 Norway spruce on his farm in New Jersey. And 1966, the National Christmas Tree Association began its time-honored tradition of having the grand champion grower present a Christmas tree to the First Lady for her to display in the Blue Room of the White House.
Tell me he was hunky and wearing a flannel and a thermal and a puffy vest, and he fell in love with the real estate developer who came to town to cut down his farm but falls in love. I mean, it's such a hallmark cliche, a Christmas tree farmer.
Well, you know who grew up on a Christmas tree farm?
Who?
Taylor Allison Swift.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
She grew up on a Christmas tree farm?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ooh, not hot. Not hot. No. Definitely not hot.
Oh.
Cute in a scary way. We'll put him in. I guess he's just made it into the supplementals. Okay, so that's kind of my wrap-up of the history of Christmas trees. Sure, there's a bunch more, but I just picked some highlights.
Sure.
Okay, so before we get into Rockefeller, we've talked about the history of the Christmas tree. There's one other thing I would like to talk about, and that is the tree at Madison Square Park. So on December 21st, 1912...
Speaking of the Titanic.
We're exactly 8 months, 6 days after the Titanic sank.
Wow. I mean, do you think that nation was still reeling?
I mean, yeah. Because it's like, what other news happened after that? And
That's
you don't get news very often.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. I would assume people are. That's probably part of the reason why they did this.
I was going to say, it's like a perfect morale booster.
Yeah. So on that day, a horse-drawn truck clip-clopped its way into Manhattan's Madison Square Park with a 60-foot tall tree from the Adirondacks. I said that. I'm so out of breath by the time I get to the end of that. The tree was the first of its kind. People had gotten used to having trees indoors, but having a tree, like a public tree in a park, this place is getting credit for the first time that that's happened in this country.
Wow, that's huge.
The tree had 2,300 colored electric bulbs on it that were supplied by Edison's company.
I was going to say, do we have light bulbs in this year? I guess we do.
Thank you, Mr. Edison. I was like, Thomas, is that right? Yeah, Thomas Edison, the guy he is like the male version of Sarah.
And we know his name. Well, we don't, but we forget it.
Forget it. I feel like the last paragraph I've read everything as if I'm not sure.
Gary Edison and his famous bulbs.
I'm going to have a callback to this moment, if I remember, in my next episode, because I started researching it today, and there was a whole, you know it as this one thing your whole life, and then there's this other thing, and you're like, what?
Oh, okay, that's exciting.
Yeah. So the idea to have this tree in a public park came from this woman, Emily D. Lee Herreshoff. She was a 49-year-old wife of a prominent chemical scientist, and she had witnessed a rise in social causes having to do with all the poor people living in the city. So she proposed that if you put a public Christmas tree in a park, it would allow everyone, especially those who couldn't afford a tree on their own, to participate in a lighting ceremony. And
you can get her on the $10 bill.
10 is, I think she's like on a wooden something. She's like on the wooden 50 center. But yeah, great lady.
We should acknowledge her name.
Yeah. At least have an ornament for her.
Sure. Every home should have an ornament with her face on it.
Her 49-year-old head.
I don't think it's fair to have like these traditions and not know where they came from.
And the Hallmark keepsake ornament would have like a voice thing and then be like, every poor person shall celebrate this tree. And like, why'd you use that voice? We're like, we had that actor for like an extra half hour. The mayor approved the plan. The Adirondack Club donated the tree, and the
is that Adirondack of the chair?
You know, I was wondering that too. I'm assuming.
It must be.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. And if you know what, mail us a letter if we're wrong.
Send me snail mail if you have proof otherwise. I will only accept it in letter form.
Adirondack chairs are tough for anything other than guessing what shape clouds are in.
I have one on my porch.
But it pitches you at such an angle.
It does.
It's hard to chat.
It's at a relaxing angle. I use it. That is where when I meditate outside, I sit in that chair.
You meditate outside?
Girl, you don't know everything.
When do you meditate?
It's been a couple years.
But when you do,
you know everything.
It's in an Adirondack chair.
It's in that chair when it's not covered in stuff.
What kind of stuff?
Okay, so the transportation of the tree was covered by an anonymous donor. I thought that was fun. Because we were talking last week how we would never be anonymous.
It would be really tough to be anonymous.
It'd be like, this tree has been brought to you. Heard John brought this tree, right? John brought it.
John. You're starting your own chant?
I'm like, no, yeah. No, you guys stop. They're like, you're the only one chanting. Please stop. It's embarrassing. This was published in the newspaper for this event, and I just thought it was nice, so I'm going to read it. It's called The Christ Child's Christmas Tree, Madison Square, 1912. Above the bustle and wear and tear of a city's life in a busy square, the Christmas tree stands with its open hands, a symbol of love for all to share. And great and small respond to the call of the chimes in the belfry, till one and all forsake the shop and the gilded home for the voice of the Christ child calling, "Come, O come, lo, my festival is free, and love is the host at my Christmas tree. They gather, the rich and poor are one, parent and child and the stranger lone. For the heart of the city goes out tonight in a chorus of music, a flood of light, and the Christ child spirit divinely fair that illumined the manger cold and bare is born again in the city square."
I'm lightly crying.
I know, right?
That's very sweet.
It's like the Linus moment in A Charlie Brown Christmas.
It really is.
I'm Linus.
I really, really love that.
That was really sweet,
That
right?
should be printed on money.
We really need to talk to the treasurer after this episode. We've got some notes. We're going to introduce a wooden 50-cent piece.
Let's just say paper money is not nearly Christmassy enough.
The New York Times also wrote, "It is hoped by those who have worked for it that the placing of a great outdoor Christmas tree may become a national custom, taking place in America, the customs of other lands." The Christmas Eve celebration attracted 25,000 people and became the country's first public Christmas tree lighting. Visitors cheered, played music, there were local choirs, and bands performed holiday carols. At midnight, a performance of America ended the festivities and the lights were shut off, but they were turned on every evening until New Year's Eve.
Wow.
It was called the Tree of Light. The Madison Square Park tree sparked a new trend. The next year, over 50 cities, including Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore, all had public Christmas trees, and a permanent monument stands in present-day Madison Square Park called the Star of Hope. It's a 5-pointed star on top of a 35-foot pole and was erected in 1916 to commemorate the moment.
That's gorgeous.
Right?
That's just gorgeous.
And you know what's crazy? I'm not even at the brand yet. We're like 6 hours into this show, and I'm now at the heading that says Rockefeller Center.
You know, that's what we do here. You think you're just going to hear about the Rockefeller Christmas tree, honey? We're going back to basically BC.
1510. Now, I don't really know. I mean, I know the Rockefeller name as like a name of wealth. I don't know much. Do you know anything about the Rockefellers?
No.
Okay. Well, John D. Rockefeller Jr., not hot, was in May of 1930, started construction on a huge project. And as I mentioned in the open, this was during the worst years of the Great Depression. At the time, 64% of building trade workers in New York City were unemployed, so more than half of them weren't working. If you didn't know, 64% was more than half.
It was more than half. Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
You're welcome.
Is this like the lunch pail guys on the steel beam?
Probably. I mean, it's during the construction of New York. It's like New York is starting to become...
It's like chimney sweeps and
I know
like
what
garbage men. Yeah.
Those are different things.
No,
chimney
but you know what I mean?
and...
It's like, it's guys with the little short pants and the suspenders and the lunchbox.
I think you're visual. You're like right now AI. Like I've asked AI to tell me about the history of New York, and you're getting a lot of things confused. Skyscrapers don't have chimneys.
You got a little smudge on your nose. It feels like a smudgy time.
Now you're thinking of like Dennis the Menace.
Yes, he's there too.
Yeah, I do think that beam picture is probably in this.
Little Orphan Annie. She's there also.
A different thing.
Same time period. I'm setting the scene, Little Orphan Annie.
Okay, so
that feels right.
Here we are. We're in an orphanage.
Uh-huh.
It's estimated that this project, which obviously is going to become Rockefeller Center, employed between 40 and 60,000 people. So it's a huge...
How is that possible?
Because it's enormous.
That's crazy.
And it took years to build.
Wow.
So it's very important, not only for the workers that needed jobs, but kind of for the morale of the whole city. So you've got... Everyone in the country is going through like these hard times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's called the Depression for a reason.
A bit of a bummer.
Bit of a bummer.
The Great Bummer.
The Great Bum. That's what it should have been called. But then you've got this rich guy, this like, you know, billionaire who's like clearly showing that he believes in the future of the city, is willing to put his money into it. He's helping employ people. So that does really give people like a morale boost.
That's the kind of rich person I would be.
I'd like to think I'd be like that.
Well,
I don't know that I would build like a... I don't think that you would
I don't
either.
think we'd ever hear from you again, honey, if you were that rich.
You're going to have to find a new You could use one of my AI from my podcasters.
We'll get AI
as
John
a
in here.
The development was referred to as Radio City and Rockefeller City or Metropolitan Square. And then a family publicist suggested calling it Rockefeller Center. And John did not want his family name in it, but they said, listen, if you put your name in it, you're going to get a lot more tenants. So he resigned to the fact, and it became Rockefeller Center in December of 1931.
This is where you and him also differ. He doesn't want his name on his building.
Yeah, I want it to be called like Johnny John's Gloverville. Funny story, if you want to look it up, my name is John Glover. In New York, there's two towns right next to each other. One is called Johnstown, one is called Gloversville. And they do certain things together. So I find things on eBay, like I have a milk bottle that says from Johnstown, Gloverville. Like there's things that have basically my full name from these two towns, and I love it.
That's really fun. You have to go.
I found that out from my friend Nicole. She was in New York and brought me back a sweatshirt that said Johnstown, Gloverville.
You should just like walk around like ringing a bell and saying, I am your king.
I'm finally here. I have returned. That's basically the plot of Return of the King, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Pascal. So, like I said, the name was officially changed in December of 1931. That is a very important year to this story. The first tree at Rockefeller Center was in December of 1931. And this first tree is all about the human spirit.
Oh.
You know, that's what I loved. It was a real improvised event. It wasn't something that John thought of. It wasn't like the company did it. Mm-hmm. Basically, on Christmas Eve, the Italian-American construction workers from the site decided to pool together all of their money and buy a Christmas tree. And it was basically a tree for gratitude that they had work and a tree to lift people's spirits who didn't have work and, try to just feel good. So they get this 20-foot balsam fir, our favorite candle scent, soap scent. We love the balsam fir. They decorate it with handmade garland, strings of cranberry, and some men put tin cans on it to give it a little bit of sparkle.
A little sparkle, a little shimmer and gleam.
A little shine. So it was a very humble affair, and there's a picture of it from the Historical Society. We'll put that in our Instagram too. It's a really nice moment. And what's neat I don't know if it's neat, it's just interesting in the picture. To the left of the tree, there's what was called the paymaster standing on a box, handing the men their paycheck. So it's like just this moment of time. It's so crazy.
I like to think of these like two kind of like gruff, like Italian construction workers being like, "Hey, Johnny, what do you think about getting maybe, I don't know, like a 20-foot Christmas tree over here? Maybe put a little sparkle, a little gleam to our work site."
I love it. I do wish he had started at 10 feet, and then Johnny would have been like, if we're going to get 10, why don't we just go? Let's go for it. Let's get 20.
Good for those boys.
Here's $10. Go get 20.
That's really, really cute to imagine those boys.
So that is the first one. It is not considered the official first one because it was not put on by the Rockefeller Center or any official means. I consider it the first one because it is. It happened at that spot.
Yeah, I acknowledge it as the first one.
I will always see it as the first one. 1932, there's no tree. Then in 1933, it's the first holiday, it's the first Christmas after the RCA building of the complex is completed. The publicists for the Rockefeller Center decided that they should celebrate that, and they suggested, let's get a Christmas tree. They ended up getting one twice as big as the one that the guys got in 1931. And John D. Rockefeller, who was apparently someone who loved a statistic, was quoted in the paper saying this about it. The great Christmas tree has a branch spread of 40 feet and measures 25 inches in diameter at the base of its trunk. It is being decorated with approximately 1,200 colored lights, red, green, amber, and blue. 4 floodlights playing from the setbacks of the surrounding buildings in Rockefeller Center will illuminate the tree with the lights, and they will remain lit each evening through the holiday season from dusk till midnight. And this is really marking the beginning of this tradition that we know today.
That's great.
And it kind of like takes off from there. Like it's all about like becoming grander and like it's just like this. Well, I say that, and then my next note, it's the exact opposite of that. So that's basically the beginning of it. And now I'm just going to go through a couple highlighted years of their tradition. So we've learned several things doing this pod. One of them is when the war happened, everything goes to shit. You can't use a lot of things. And that was the same during this time.
Your leathers, your aluminums,
everything.
Your glass.
Yeah, sugar. Everything. So in 1942, at the beginning of the war, there wasn't much you could put on the tree because everything needed to be used and rationed for the war.
They were smashing up the ornaments and turning them into goggles.
Yeah, and grenades. Yeah. They're throwing tin cans full of dynamite at the enemy. So instead of getting one large tree, that year they got 3 smaller trees, and they decorated one red, one white, and one blue. They didn't have any lights on them. The trees weren't lit for the next 3 years during the war. And 1942 was also the first year that they replanted the tree after the holiday. So it was a living tree, and they were able to replant it somewhere.
I see. It was in a pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably much easier to do when you have a small tree versus the 75-foot trees that we're going to end up with.
I'd say so.
You got anywhere I can plant this, Johnny? I don't know. We're getting too big here.
I mean, the pot would be the size of a swimming pool.
You know, I feel like that's a pot you could only get at Restoration Hardware.
For sure.
There's that cocky store and their giant pots.
Are you ever shocked at the cost of a big pot?
Oh, are you ever shocked at the weight of a big pot?
Yes.
How light they are? You go and you're like, that's a big pot. And then you like lift it with one hand because they use some like space material that's super light.
It's a material that only exists for big pots.
Yeah.
It looks like it's like, you mean it looks like it's like clay, right? Or
yeah.
like
it looks
terracotta.
like stone or marble. And then it's so light.
It's that, it might be astronaut ice cream.
Might be. And those are probably only pots for poor people. I bet
so.
Rich people's pots are heavy.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. 1945, after the war had ended, they used 6 ultraviolet light projectors to give the illusion that the tree's 700 fluorescent globes were glowing in the dark. 1951 is the first time NBC televises the tree lighting for the first time. up until then, it had been on the radio. So people would like gather around the radio and listen about the tree lighting.
That's really something that's purely visual.
Yeah, totally.
3, 2, 1. Wow, the tree. It's covered in lights and bubbles and
But can't you like now like I'm literally not even kidding picturing the Matt Damon moment in the movie where like he's doing this with his kids and they do the countdown and he flips like he's behind the tree and plugs it in.
Who's he playing?
He's playing a dad right now.
Okay.
Like who goes on? I don't know. This is not a movie about the Rockefeller tree, but it takes place in the movie.
Okay, this is a scene from a different movie.
Yeah, and he
Okay.
plugs in the tree right then and the kids are just like aghast because he really made a magical moment
That's
as a
really
father.
sweet.
1971, because of the environmental movement of the time, is the first time the tree was recycled and turned into bags of mulch for nature trails in Upper Manhattan.
Wow, that's cool.
Isn't that neat?
Before that, they were taking it to the dump.
Yeah, I think they were just throwing it. They're honestly probably just throwing it in the river and just like hope it made it somewhere.
Oh, that's a good idea. Chop it up.
Chop it up.
Chop it up.
All right, so those are a few moments of the tree. The question is, who picks the tree, right?
Great
like,
question.
Whose job is that?
I could do it.
You couldn't.
I think I could.
I don't think you could
Point at the top.
because you're a woman.
Certainly back then.
No, of course you could. You have great tree sensibilities.
I'd be like, my husband is like, he works picking the tree, and he's like, he shows me his choice. I'm like, I don't know. Not pointy enough.
Okay, I'm going to test you on this.
Okay.
Congratulations. You've been given the job. You are the
Thank you.
new Rockefeller Center tree scouter.
I can do it.
Where's the first place you go?
Ooh, this is going to be tough. I guess I'll start walking in one direction until I see a tree. I'm just going to keep walking. I'm going to take the subway out of town.
Okay, I need more specifics, though. Like, where are you headed to?
Upstate New York.
To...
Branch. My friend Branch. He has the best trees.
Okay, actually, that might work.
Okay, great.
Because I was hoping you would say the forest.
The forest.
No, that is the last place you go to look for the tree.
No, of course not.
All right, so there's basically been two guys over the last 50 to 60 years who have picked these trees. First, it was David Murbach, who did it for about 30 years until he passed away in 2010. And then Eric Paws took over after him.
That's a good gig.
Dude, this job...
Can you imagine?
I can, because I've read all about it. It's like the Universal thing where it's like they spend the year. This is not like he's already, I promise you, he is already working on next year's tree. You're thinking about it all the time. David would say he literally is thinking about that Christmas tree every single day of the year.
Doing like what? Like,
first of all, finding it. Do you know how hard it is to find this tree?
So he's like scouting like a fine looking young tree. Like, oh, this tree has potential.
No, babe. He wants an old tree that's close to dying, but not so close that it looks like it's dying.
But what does the year entail?
So the year entails, so they spend the year, they start off, they look in multiple states.
Oh my God.
By helicopter. So they're flying around thousands of miles looking for this tree.
This sounds like a scam. It feels like it's like, yeah, we've seen some pretty good trees. I think we need to maybe take another helicopter trip over to Montana to check out the trees they got over there.
This is why I know that you'd be bad at this job. Have you don't even know if you've seen the tree and you were at Rockefeller Center.
I'm pretty sure I have.
If you had seen that tree, like the logistics of getting it there. First of all, so what are they looking for in a tree? One, it has to be a Norway spruce, and they have to be about 75 feet tall and have a diameter of 45 feet. So it's a very specific thing that they're looking for. And they picked the Norway because of its scale. It is a tree that can get that big, and it has branches that are strong enough to hold all of the weight that goes on it, because you put a ton of lights on it, you put all the ornaments on it. And basically they're saying it has to be a storybook perfection tree. It's like they want the tree that a kid drew. Like they basically want a green triangle. They want it to look like the tree that you have in your house on an enormous scale.
And it's like most trees in the wild, they've been like ravaged by the elements, or they have like, birds and raccoons and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they're messing with it a little
like a
bit.
hobo bear living in it. And like,
why is it a hobo bear?
I mean, because he's not living in a cave. He's just hooking up with a tree. And this is something David said that I love. And this is like makes me think of people that have these very niche jobs.
Yeah.
David would say that he was always looking for a tree with personality. Some trees just have a way way of holding their branches. And I love that he's the guy who's like,
Ooh.
bitch, there it is. Like, he sees all these trees. He's like, that's not it. And his partner's like, yeah, that one's fine. He's like, that's not it. And then he sees that one that's got that one little thing. And he's like, that's our tree.
He's like Tyra when she sees she sees a top model with that certain X factor.
I appreciate the topical reference of Tyra Banks and the model show from 14 years ago.
I watched a video last night that was like an expose on America's Next Top Model.
Okay.
Remember how they had to give them like shocking haircuts and stuff?
I don't, but that show was wild.
They would just like shave their heads to like make them cry to get like a really good confessional.
God, that's so awful.
It was really sad, but you know, she could spot talent. She knew when she saw it, and that reminds me, honestly, this job of being the picker of the Rockerfeller tree is a really good character for a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh, this has Hallmark Christmas movie written all over it.
For sure. And it's like maybe the woman has she owns the farm. He wants to buy her tree. They fall in love. I mean, it writes itself.
Maybe she's an activist and she's been living in the tree for the last 9 months. And he's sent there. His dad's like, I don't care what you do. You're going to go up there and you're going to get her out of that tree.
She's a bear.
She's a bear. He's a bear. It's the Berenstein Bears New York adventure. I love it.
Sounds great.
Okay, so this is one of the things I found fascinating about this episode. So 75-foot tall trees that are that dense, just so you know, they have to be so dense that you're not supposed to be able to see the sky through them. They don't grow in forest.
I love him being like all mad, like, you think that's a tree? You better not see the in sky.
Right when he says it, like a beam from the moon pokes through and hits him on his face, and he just freezes in fury.
Like slaps his assistant.
Yeah. So these trees are too big to grow in the forest. They just won't in that environment. There's too many trees around. They're 10 times bigger than what you would find in a normal Christmas tree farm.
Oh my God.
So those aren't going to work.
Okay.
So they are almost always found, and this is why, annoyingly, your answer was kind of right, found at a residence. So Kenny, probably me, have the perfect Christmas tree.
It seems like it wouldn't be that hard to find them then.
Yeah, because they're tall.
But they all have to, like, they have to have the right shape. They have to have the right density. They have to be the right size. It's more than, I love that you two bitches think that you can just go take over this job that these two men have done for 60 years.
He's just driving around a neighborhood in upstate New York in a convertible with binoculars, looking over people's fences to see if there's a big tree peeking over the fence.
You should be on that one show that was out for like one season. Like, I've always wanted to be a tree picker. And then like in 4 months, you have to learn how to pick a tree. And you'll be like,
do it.
You couldn't do it. You could never do it. So when he comes across a tree from the helicopter, and another interesting thing is it is better to look in the winter up until early spring because all the deciduous trees are bare. So all these like amazing pine trees are really standing out at that time. He sees...
Well...
Sure.
Sounds like it just got easier.
I'll put it to you this way.
Okay.
Sixth Sense. Great movie.
Yeah.
Haley Joel Osment delivered that line.
Wait, no spoilers.
Okay. I won't spoil it for anybody, but delivered an iconic line.
Yes.
I can go outside. I can look in your kids' room. I can go to a park. I can see a million kids. They're not going to all deliver that line that way. You got to find the right tree.
Like Tyra, she sees, tall
let
women.
Tyra go. No one, I don't even like Tyra. I'm not giving her voice on our pod.
5'11" and up. Sure, they're strutting all over New York City.
She's a bad woman, I feel like. I mean, I don't have proof of that, but she sucked at hosting America's Got Talent, too.
That's what you have against her.
That's why I hate her. I want her career to tank.
Oh, man. Okay, that's fair. I mean, maybe you have this, but I feel like that's got to be a pretty sweet gig if somebody sees the perfect tree in your backyard. What's that paycheck looking like? What are they paying you?
It's a donation.
Oh.
It's an unpaid event.
If you have a 75-foot tree in your backyard, you're willing to, like, I guess if it's going to die in a year.
Well,
anyway.
I'm here. You're taking over my notes right now. So basically, when he sees these, he has to go to their home and say, hey, listen, I'm the tree scouter that... Between you and me, it's a super easy job, but don't tell anybody. Only Marissa and Alistair know how easy this is. But your tree, I think, would work perfectly for
Don't give the perverts any ideas. I feel like that's a good way for a pervert to sneak into a woman's house.
Pretending to be the Rockefeller tree hunter?
Yes. Don't give any perverts listening
So
any
this
ideas.
pervert is only going to go to homes with 75-foot pines in their yard?
Yes, that's how he
That's
finds
a-
them. That's why it's a good lie.
That's a real fetish.
He has a van that says like Rockefeller Tree Scout on it. He pulls up. The woman has like her robe pulled shut. She's wearing a little nightie.
It's the dead of winter. Put on some flannels.
Sure,
He's got a
she-
hat with like a tree on it.
Exactly.
Like,
and
it's
he
real
says,
cute.
"May I come inside? I want to talk to you about your tree. May I use your bathroom?" Now he's like digging around in her hamper for a dirty pair of underwear.
Jesus Christ. Can you make your episodes dirty? I wanted you to make a nut joke. I didn't want to talk about a woman's panties. So he goes to their homes and he's like, look, we think that this would be the perfect tree. And a few scenarios can play out.
Okay.
One, they're attached to the tree. They want to keep the tree.
Yeah.
A lot of people, once a tree gets that big, are like, you know what? We've been worried for the last 10 years this tree's going to fall over and kill us.
Probably quite expensive too to pay to have it removed yourself.
Beyond.
Like, have you, I mean, if anybody's listening, you could get a tree trimmer quote. You're like, are you kidding? Like, are you the richest man in town?
You're like, I could do that myself. And then you decide to try to do it yourself. And then 2 days later, you call him back.
You're up
I'll
on
give
a
you
ladder,
double.
strung from a rope with a chainsaw, and you say, "Okay, I see why. Now I get it."
When I moved into my apartment, I took it upon myself to rip out the carpet and make hardwood floors and like do some landscaping. And I dug out a very small bush out of my yard, and I could not believe how hard it was to get that root ball out.
Oh my! I think it took us. We had the same thing. We had a plant in our front yard when we were changing our front yard, and we hacked at it for I swear 3 days.
Yeah.
And it was like we needed to basically be hospitalized afterwards. It was so brutal.
It is
And then
hard.
called our guy. We finally surrendered, and we were like, we got it started for you, but if you could finish the job. And it was not like 15 minutes later that root ball was out.
Yeah.
Root
Yeah.
balls, man.
Root balls, especially that tap root. There's that one tap root that'll go. I mean, the root ball may be small. The tap root will go down 40 feet. You got to pull that snake out. So, yeah. So some people are like, you know what? This is a blessing. And a lot of people consider it an honor.
Sure.
There's people, you can submit your own tree also. And don't say that makes their job even easier. Alistair started to say it as soon as I said that. Yes, that probably does. But they do say the people that submit really usually overshoot what their tree is.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize how tall 75 feet actually is.
They're eyeballing it. They're like, I got a pretty tall tree. I think you'd be interested.
Yeah, and it's basically
I hope you're not a pervert, the wife says,
Babe.
holding her robe shut.
Why is my laundry room door open? Oh, I can smell my panties from here.
If he came to see my tree, I'd say, okay, it's going to cost you.
Babe, it's donation. It's an honor.
Yeah, but what if I have the perfect tree? What are they willing to pay?
This is really sweet. Quick little story. In 2008, the tree that they picked was originally a couple's first Christmas tree, and the following year they planted it in their yard, and that was in 1931, the same year that those men put out the first tree.
That is really
I
sweet.
just thought that was
That's
super
great.
cool.
That's great.
Okay, and you think the job is easy? Once they do pick the tree, kids,
Yeah.
one of these two guys, well, the one that's alive, starts visiting the tree weekly to fertilize it and give it up to 1,800 gallons of water so that it is juicy and ready.
From where? Like a fire hose?
Babe, they have to figure it out. They probably get water trucks.
I still think this is a pretty cushy gig. Your whole job is to visit a tree once a week, put some fertilizer on it, set a hose on, and then just eat a pastrami sandwich and just take a nap.
I thought you were going to say to eat a... No,
You think his pervert ploy worked? He's not actually a scout but he became one because the lie was so good.
For the record, it's not their only job. They
Okay.
also are the managers of all the plants at Rockefeller Center. You're going to be like, how many plants can that be? It's a lot. I don't really know, but I assume if they have a manager for it.
Sure.
Here's your fun fact.
Alistair just reminded us that Marisa, for a decade, has her favorite fun fact that she likes to share at any party or event. Marisa, will you please share your fun fact?
So the San Diego Zoo, which is a very big zoo in California, at the San Diego Zoo, the plants, John, the plants
Yeah.
are worth more
No.
than the animals.
According to who? God?
If you add up the cost of all the elephants and giraffes and koala bears, it is less than the cost of all of the plants.
For insurance purposes.
No, just like cost, like value, attributed value. How much is an elephant? Like $800?
How much is a fern? $40,000. I don't get that fact, and I don't find it interesting.
I would like to know how much those animals cost. Like if you were to buy a giraffe, like what is that? $2,000?
I do feel like 40 freaks are right now like, that is interesting.
If you find that interesting, send us some mail.
So over the years, the trees have come from all over: Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Hampshire, Canada. The tallest to date was in 1999. That was a 100-foot tree. Can you even imagine it?
That's tall. That's really tall. Seems really easy to see in the landscape of New Hampshire.
Another big part of the project that these men are responsible for is not only figuring out how to cut the tree, make sure everything stays safe after while the tree is being cut. They have specially designed cranes to hold the tree while it's being cut. They have to refurbish the homeowner's land and make it, nice. They have to get the tree to Manhattan.
Okay.
I would love to see one of you two get a 100-foot tree to the center of Manhattan.
That part does seem harder, but I don't think they're bringing the tree.
But they have to, I
think they're hiring the guys, right?
I mean, I can order a truck.
Yeah, we could order a truck,
God,
John.
you guys are the worst human beings.
I don't think the truck shows up and they're like, "Well, boss, how do we get this tree there?" It's
how do we get it? How do you think we get it there?
Well, I think the truck drivers have figured it out. I think they have bungee cords.
Okay, so we have this one tree. We have determined you don't need to fight it. It is determined that it will not be able to get there by truck. What are we going to do?
Boat.
Yeah, cargo. Yeah, there was one time they had to send it down the river, and one from Ohio had to be put in the world's largest cargo plane.
Oh.
Can you imagine a plane? I would love to see all of these, a plane,
imagine.
a boat with this big tree. We did that here. The cool thing that we have in LA is when we had the space shuttle, and they paraded that through the streets here, which was super cool.
It's cool.
And if you are in LA or ever visited, that is a cool thing to visit. Visit the Science Center. I went there for one of our Avatar wrap parties. I'm
That's
not
fun.
trying to be bragging.
Was it in the room with the big
It
spaceship?
was. Not only was it in the
Wow.
room with the space shuttle, they were projecting scenes of Avatar on the shuttle. So it was super cool.
That is cool.
But it also had vegan sushi. I mean, I'm not complaining, but
Not a perfect
it's
night.
ups and downs. So some notable years for the tree. In 2001, the tree was again adorned in red, white, and blue because of 9/11, because this was just coming 3 months off of that. But I'm glad that they still did it because that was such a dark time. I'm sure that especially, I can't even imagine for the people in New York to have something nice happen. 2004 was all about the bling. That's when we got our first
God.
how do you say it?
Swarovski. 2004 was all about the bling. I think that was I can't imagine how many pairs of jeans I had that had jewels on the butt pockets.
On the butt pockets. Yeah, it was all, we were
Did you
ready.
have any jeans with jewels on the butt pockets?
And, we're 3 years out from 9/11. We just wanted to shine a little bit.
Sure.
I've had no jeweled clothing. I now have my bling string.
Take your eyes off the flag and onto that ass.
Babe, that was rough. Try it again. Make it sexier.
How about you? How about everybody just takes their eyes off the flag and puts it onto that ass?
Okay.
Is that better?
That felt a little forced, but it didn't feel as clunky. So that first tree topper was 9.5 feet wide, 550 pounds, 25,000 crystals with 1 million facets. Okay, 2007 is a super fun year. I love this. This is my fourth thing that I was like, oh my God, this might be my favorite. No, Sarah, of course, is.
Yeah.
This is my second favorite.
Better be.
So starting in 2007, when they were done with the tree, they would turn the tree into lumber and donate it to Habitat for Humanity and make homes for it for people that were in need of homes. And I thought about that for a minute. Oh, not only do they do that, some of the staff members from the Rockerfeller Center help build the homes, which I'm like, that's fantastic.
That's great.
Of course, that's something you can sign up for.
You would be there with a Ziploc bag full of wood chips. For your shadow box, your cabinet of curiosities.
Probably.
Yeah,
that's fair. Or at least a
definitely.
big pine cone. I'd find a rogue pine cone.
John, is that a log in your pocket?
That's personal. That's 2 shoes long. Okay, so I started to think about that. And what I found so joyful about it is I started to think about the whole life of this thing. So you have this couple. Let's say that couple in 1930. They're having their first Christmas. They plant this tree. They watch their whole family, 3 generations, watches this tree grow to 75 feet. Someone comes one day and is like, hey, this tree looks like it's probably had its lifespan. Would you want to donate it
Can
to...
I use your bathroom? Where's
Babe,
your laundry basket?
I swear to God, if you run this story, I swear to God, rewind. I will keep starting over. This will be a 2-hour episode. I will start from the beginning every time. They get a knock on the door. They're like, hey, I couldn't help notice this beautiful tree that your family has. What would you say about donating it to the city of New York to be the Rockerfeller Center Christmas tree? They get emotional. They've been worried about this tree. They want to do that. They do it. It goes there. It is seen by literally millions of people all around this world. This thing that's charted as just this little man and wife. It is seen everywhere. That completes. It is then turned into wood that becomes a home for a new young couple that is starting their life. Like, it literally is the most perfect circle of life.
And
thing.
outside their home, they plant a tree.
Oh my God, thank you. I thought you were going to say there was like a clothesline of panties and a man comes in and starts smelling them all. Yes, and then they plant a tree.
I mean, even just to think, a pine cone,
Don't even get me started. I had to collect pine cones this week.
that one little like turd popping out of a pine cone, that you plant that. And that has like all the genetic information to grow a 75-foot tree.
It's crazy. Now I'm going to say what I just said again because I feel like you would have said something about it. I know. I had to collect pine cones this week.
You had to collect pine cones this week.
There she is.
You had to collect pine cones this week?
My sister asked me to collect pine cones for her this week. She's doing the sweetest thing. So she's making a wreath, and she likes to have pine cones in it from where everybody lives.
That's so sweet.
I know. It seems like something you would do. So I got her some pine cones from my street.
I got pine cones from your house a different time because we had an issue with... We were worried our cats were going to pee in our potted plants. And so we put pine cones in them.
I remember that.
And you have so many pine cones. You should mail some listeners pine cones.
Sure. Absolutely.
Great. If you want a pine cone from John...
subscribe to our Patreon once it starts. You're not getting a pine cone without a subscription. I'm not just free-willing pine cones around this town.
So at the $5 tier, you get a pine cone?
No, the pine tier, the $12 tier. Pay for shipping. Okay, but I'm not even done with what's so...
The $12 tier does not give you any bonus episode or content. It's just the pine cone tier. It's separate from the other tiers, and you do get a pine cone a month from John.
And that does not include a pine cone with googly eyes. That's $1 more. That's
$1 more. That's $13.
Tier. I didn't even finish this whole part of it. So they turn the trees into wood. It becomes home. So there is a children's book author named David Rubel, and he worked with Habitat for Humanity to write a book called The Carpenter's Gift. And it is basically the story of this whole process. It's about a Depression-era boy wishing for a home, and he explains what I've just told you, the story of the tree and how it becomes a house. And this is the part, I'm like, are you kidding me? The parts of the tree that they can't turn into lumber.
Are you crying?
No, but it's like great.
Okay.
They turn into pulp, which becomes paper, which becomes a commemorative book plate in the book about the tree, of the boy and the house and the tree and all the things. It's like... Are you kidding me?
Unreal.
When people think about these things,
yeah.
See, that's something I could do. While you and Alistair are like out in your flannels, I can pick a tree, and you stop at like getting a granola bar, whatever you do. I'm the one that's like, you know what would be really special for these people? I'm coming up with the heart of this.
I just feel like trees we don't marvel at them enough.
No.
How much we get from them. Paper, toilet paper, paper towels.
Go on.
I could go on.
Paper planes.
Paper airplanes.
Those origami,
fortune cookie notes, which is also paper.
pizza boxes.
I
Wait,
mean,
is cardboard paper?
Cardboard is paper.
Cardboard is trees?
Cardboard is tree.
Okay, I love that. 2018, after a 14-year run, the original Swarovski star is replaced with a new one. This one has, and this is how we know it's glass, it has 3 million crystals radiating from 70 spikes. It's 9 feet 4 inches wide and weighs 900 pounds. They're not throwing anything expensive up on a tree like that.
It's basically like a whole rack of earrings from Claire's. Like, this isn't like, there's nothing significant about this.
Claire's, that's a brand we should do. That's where I got my ears pierced for the first time.
Oh, with the gun.
With the gun. Do they not do the gun anymore?
And they do the gun. It's like a 12-year-old girl. You pay like 99 cents and she shoots your ear with a gun.
It's like your daughter. Like, here you go. Click, click.
It seems insane.
It's insane.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Now we're at this year's tree. Just a couple facts about that. So this year's tree was planted by newlyweds Earl Albert and his late wife Leslie in 1967. Earl wanted to honor the memory of his wife by donating the tree. See, there's many different reasons why people do it.
Sure, I can believe that.
This is the first tree to come from Massachusetts since 1959. It's 74 feet tall, 43 feet wide. And the very sad thing is that Earl had a stroke a couple months ago and was hoping to recover in time to make it to the lighting, but he didn't, but his family was there. And they went on the Today Show and told the story, and it was very sweet.
Oh, my God. That's so sweet.
And then that's what I have about the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. I do have very quickly a few fun tree facts because I always want people to go into every party with a little pocket of knowledge that they can flick out at all their friends. You have plenty from this episode already. If you're not telling everyone at all your parties about Sarah, then you're missing out because people are going to want to date you if you have that info.
Absolutely. If you're looking to fall in love this holiday season, just arm yourself with a lot of fun facts about Sarah.
Yeah, and here's some quick tree facts. Approximately 25 to 30 million real Christmas trees sold every year in America. There are approximately 15,000 Christmas tree farms in the United States.
Wow.
And over 100,000 people working in that industry.
One of them is Taylor Swift.
One of them being Taylor Swift's family. Close to 350 million real Christmas trees are currently growing in the United States in all 50 states.
Okay.
And there are about 350,000 acres in production growing Christmas trees. Much of it is preserving green space.
Wow.
And that's it. And then I said this at the beginning. It's estimated between 500,000 and 750,000 people visit that one New York tree every single day.
I'm pretty sure I saw it.
I'm glad that it left such a lasting...
I'll look and see if I have a picture of it.
Memory.
I might.
I would definitely put that on my bucket list of things I'd like to see.
Yeah, I think I saw it. I'm like 99% sure because people were ice skating. So yeah, I saw it. I'll find a picture. I'll post it.
I will never believe you saw it unless I see a picture.
Honestly, the tree at the mall, the Americana, the tree we talked about, is equally spectacular in my mind. So it wasn't like it was the first time I've seen a tall, gorgeous tree.
Wow. You're comparing the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree with the mall tree. I mean, it is a nice mall. I actually have a picture of me with that tree. I'll put in my supplementals too.
Great. And I'll find my picture of the Rockefeller tree.
All right, you can put that. We only get 10 supplementals, so it better be good for me to put it in there. All right, so now that you know everything there is to know about America's most famous Christmas tree, would you say it is on brand or off brand for you?
Well, you know what, John? There's going to be people out there in the comments. They might go, is the Rockefeller Christmas tree even a brand? And you know what I would say to those people? Yes, it is.
You know what I would say to those people? Get your own podcast. You do this every week for free.
This is our hobby, and we get to pick what we talk about. Yeah. And we wanted to talk about the Rockefeller Christmas tree. And I would say it is a brand, and I'm sure they have merch in the gift shop that is branded with the Rockefeller tree.
Yeah.
It probably has its own Instagram or X account or whatever to talk about like when it gets lit. It's absolutely a brand. You don't have to be on the New York Stock Exchange to be a brand.
I mean, I think we live in a world where almost everything is branded. Everyone on TikTok calls themselves a brand.
I'm a brand. John's a brand. Alistair's a brand.
We're all brands.
We're all brands.
And I like to think outside the box a little bit. We've now done Santa Claus. We've done the Christmas tree. So now every Christmas we have these.
The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, sure. I have no issue with someone questioning if I think something is a brand.
This tree is very on brand for me. I love trees. I marvel constantly at the beauty of nature and the miracle of seed to sprout. It's old-fashioned, which I love. There's like that cyclical nature of the seed growing and then being trimmed down in the house building and then planting the new tree. Everything about it is perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely on brand for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say the same thing. Like what I love about this show is not teaching people things. It's I'm literally learning these things before I teach them to you. And I loved all the things. I mean, obviously the Sarah thing.
You've been doing this for years. We just put a microphone in front of you.
Yeah, but I've been doing it for other people. So now I'm learning about things that I am interested in.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know the history of Christmas trees. I'd never thought about the fact that pine trees stay green in the winter. And that would be a reason that people 500 years ago would find that to be an important thing. So yeah, obviously it is on brand for me. I love it. I love the history of it. My favorite part of it would probably be that whole life cycle thing that I talked about, from
Gorgeous.
small home to big tree to national spotlight to small home again, I think is really poetic.
Petition to replace the bald eagle with a Christmas tree.
Honestly, if I was going to replace the bald eagle with anything, it would be a bust of Sarah Hale's head.
Absolutely.
On an eagle body.
Honestly, the flag should be her on an eagle body.
It should be her skin.
Yes.
Yes. I want her to have all, and I hope, I mean, I'm going to have to do some more research on her, that we're not late to the game. Like, that all of America's like, yeah.
You don't remember the biopic with Kate Blanchett?
We know about her. Why do you keep bringing her up and acting so surprised? I mean, when I saw the Christmas tree, that was already enough. And then in that same article, they're like, oh, and by the way, she's the reason women wear white for weddings.
Absolutely.
I was like, this is just
insane.
bananas.
She would have done really well in like the internet era.
Yeah, she would have gone viral for sure.
For sure.
Well, there you go. I hope you guys get some nuggets to throw out to people before we go. I wanted to give a few shout outs to our Insta Egg winners this week from the Wheel of Freaks. This was the Insta Egg for American Girl. By the way, great pick on American Girl. People had so many connections to it. We've had so many stories. We had Stephen Ray Morris send a picture of his sisters who had been in an attic and looked like a zombie. I've never seen anything quite like it. So that it was really fun seeing how excited people were about that brand. It was a very easy Insta Egg, so a lot of people got it right, even though what always fascinates me is there will always be something that I didn't know about. But basically, the Insta Egg was a picture of the American flag and a girl wearing glasses. And that was it. And then I had the star, which is their little logo. Apparently, there is an American glasses brand. So many people got fixated on the fact that this girl had glasses.
That's good. It was a little red herring.
I know.
That's fun.
I know. So they're like, is it this? And I'm like, no. But the shout outs this week go to Chris Mills, Kelly Marone, Derek Hirsch, Russell Eyrig, and Jenna Kotek Thorne. So congratulations. You guys were in a pool of a lot of people. You are officially our Freaks of the Week. Thanks for playing. If you're new to the show, every Wednesday on our Instagram story, we post a little puzzle. If you solve it, you can figure out what that week's brand is going to be. And if you do that, your name gets put into the Wheel of Freaks, and we spin it, and you can be a Freak of the Week.
And while we're giving shout-outs, I want to give some shout-outs to some lovely listeners, some brand freaks who've left us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. We have A.S. Bach, who is a business school professor and still likes to listen to our podcast about brands. Lizzie Rose says her new fave, Can't Get Enough, found us through Doughboys. Elizabeth J04 says we have a way of making her feel like we're sitting at the kitchen table right alongside them. Isn't that so sweet? And Blake says, my new favorite podcast.
Aww.
So sweet. So if you haven't left us a review on Apple Podcasts, please do that. You can write a few words, give us 5 stars, and it really makes our day. It helps promote the show, and we screen cap it and text it to each other because, again, this is a hobby, and we are fueled by your love. If you want to follow us on Instagram at OnBrandThePod, TikTok at OnBrandThePodcast, you can play John's Insta Eggs on there, and we will be back next week with an all-new episode.
And remember, we may go off topic and we may run a little long, but we will always be on brand.
Bye.
Goodbye.